Hi, my name's Katie and welcome to my channel. So today I will be basically talking about what zero waste is in a more in-depth way, because in my previous two videos I only touched on the subject and I didn't really fully talk about it and its history, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. So I hope you enjoy. But what the concept of zero waste is. So the concept of zero waste is essentially sending nothing to the landfill at all. You are producing zero to no trash whatsoever. All the products and tools that we have can either be reused, recycled, or composted, which makes it much easier and doesn't have to go into a landfill and take up more space than we have already. And finally, the whole theory around it is by reducing what we need and want to live, we can cut off any unnecessary objects or items which may be harmful to the environment. Time for a history lesson. Zero waste was first documented as an industrial term in 1970s by a guy named Paul Palmer. I don't know if I'm saying that right, I'm very sorry. Basically, he took wasted laboratory chemicals and he repurposed them by selling them off to different other companies and scientists. This was how their brand Zero Waste Solutions was founded. Another role model for me is Bea Johnson, or Bea Johnson. She wrote the book Zero Waste Homes, and it is probably most frequently credited for being the book that kind of brought up this topic right now and made it as popular as it is now. So to understand what zero waste is, you have to understand our current society and status quo. We currently live in a linear economy. If you don't know what a linear economy is, it is where you go through this process of make, break, and dispose, and it's really harmful for the environment. And essentially, we have lived like this for so long, and now making and breaking have become so much faster than the planet Earth can regrow stuff for us. So yeah. But a zero waste lifestyle is essentially producing, or we aim to produce, a community or society where the concept of trash is essentially eliminated as a whole. This is kind of similar to the circular economy, which is completely different to the linear economy because it goes in a circle. So companies, instead of looking at rubbish bins or landfills, or in some cases oceans, they will look to repurpose an item back into the system. So if you're wondering why people aren't committing to this lifestyle, there are two main misconceptions on the whole topic. The first is the cost of it, and the second is the difficulty. So firstly, the cost. Many people believe that because you are going into a zero waste lifestyle, you essentially have to start brand new. That means throwing all of your old items away and replacing them with new ones that can be used essentially for a very long time. That is not the case whatsoever, because throwing away all your existing items, whether they are single use or not, is still harmful to the environment. So basically, you have to use up that toothpaste or toothbrush or shampoo until you can buy a more reusable one, because just throwing it in the landfill is still waste no matter what. Those who have actually embarked on the zero waste journey have said that zero waste has attributed to an increase in their financial status and saved much more, which 40% to be exact, which is a huge number. Second is the difficulty. You will be limited from the wants or needs because essentially everything nowadays is so difficult to find raw or unpackaged, like crisps or cheese or bread or essentially everything. And if you watch my zero waste video link down below, you can find out why I had such a hard time. But if you keep adapting to it and if you keep trying, you will understand that there are many alternatives which are much healthier and much more eco-friendly and not processed, so you will be much more satisfied because you will be making them yourself. So finally, it's how to smoothly transition into a zero waste lifestyle. First is identifying and becoming aware. Even though it might sound really difficult, understanding all the bad habits you have is very, very important to finally realizing what you are doing wrong and changing that. So try to keep a record of all the mishaps you have. For example, accidentally buying a plastic bottle or going out to the supermarket and using a plastic bag. By becoming more aware of the issue and the problem you are facing right now, it makes it much easier to change them. Second is rejecting. So even though you might not notice it, there are so many things in your life that are not zero waste and that are probably very harmful to the environment. For example, a tissue when you go mop up the floor, or a paper towel, or a straw, that's the most obvious probably, or the utensils you use when you have takeaway, or the plastic bag you have when you take away. And by rejecting those items, even though it might take a long time and you will fail in the process, guaranteed, it is very worthwhile because it is the next step into becoming a zero waste person. Third is swaps. When the lifespan of an old item is gone, there are so many more reusable items that you can use. I mentioned it in my other video and I will mention it now. It is so easy to find if you just look, and it's so much more worthwhile and cheap if you just buy one of those instead of probably hundreds of other things in your life. The last thing that you need is patience, even though it sounds incredibly cheesy. During this whole process, you won't immediately get it, and there will be so many times that you accidentally do something that you didn't mean to, or you fail a couple times by getting a plastic bag or something that isn't very good for the environment, and that is completely okay. This is all a process that we're all trying to go through, and it is fine. You do not have to ever beat yourself up for it because we all make mistakes. Especially if you're in a family like me. For me, during the Zero Waste Week, it was very difficult because I was trying to adapt to this lifestyle that no one else in my family had, and it was very difficult because I had to go out into a world where it's not very common. But it is okay, you and I are in this together. So I hope you have an amazing day wherever you are, and I hope you try going zero waste just like me. And if you do, you can contact me or message me or DM me on my Instagram. That will be linked below. And yeah, okay, bye!